Every night, he watched people lose fortunes. Stacks of chips disappeared, dreams vanished in minutes. The casino never seemed worried. No matter who won, the house survived. At first, Ethan saw only cards, chips, and money. But after years of watching thousands of hands unfold, a young blackjack dealer began noticing something deeper. The casino wasn't built on luck. It was built on probability. No single hand mattered. No single player mattered. What mattered were the odds over time. The house didn't need to win every game. It only needed a small advantage repeated consistently. That realization changed everything. Many arrived confident. Most left frustrated. Some doubled their money. Others lost everything. Yet over months, the casino's profits always grew. What began as curiosity slowly became an obsession. After long shifts, Ethan started reading books on probability, statistics, and decision-making. He wanted to understand why people made the choices they did. He started recording outcomes after work. He studied blackjack odds, expected value, risk, and randomness. The more he learned, the more he realized the casino wasn't really about cards. That realization changed his life. It was a giant laboratory of human behavior. Every bet was a decision. Every decision reflected how people dealt with uncertainty. And suddenly, he began seeing those same patterns everywhere. After work, he bought a used statistics textbook. The formulas looked impossible, but he kept reading. Probability became his new language. He learned expected value. He saw them in businesses. He saw them in traffic. He saw them in markets. He saw them in everyday life. Everything involved probability. Everything involved risk. Everything involved human decisions. Most people spent their lives surrounded by those forces. For the first time, the casino made sense. The house didn't need every player to lose. It only needed the odds. Small advantages multiplied endlessly. Ethan began studying mathematics every night. His friends went to parties. He stayed home, solving equations. Customers unknowingly became case studies. He noticed fear, greed, overconfidence, desperation. Human behavior followed patterns too. Winning players often became reckless. Losing players chased losses. Both eventually made mistakes. The casino understood psychology better than most people. That insight fascinated him. He expanded beyond gambling books. He read economics, behavioral finance, decision theory. The more he learned, the more he saw the same principles everywhere. Markets, businesses, investments, everything involved probability. Everything involved risk. Everything involved human decisions. And most people misunderstood all three. But he couldn't stop thinking about them. Eventually, he made a decision of his own. He would leave the casino and pursue a completely different future. The transition wasn't easy. He enrolled in quantitative finance courses and spent years studying. His days became a cycle of work, commuting, and learning. Casino shifts, study sessions, little sleep. While others relaxed after work, Ethan sat in libraries, empty lecture halls, and late-night study rooms, teaching himself concepts that once seemed impossible. Progress was slow. Some days felt insignificant. But years passed, and the knowledge accumulated. Notebook by notebook, course by course, day by day. Eventually, he started getting interviews. Most firms rejected him. He lacked the traditional credentials many employers expected. His resume didn't look like everyone else's. But one company looked beyond his background. They saw the years of discipline, the self-study, and the determination behind the unconventional path. They hired him as a junior analyst. For the first time, he worked with financial models instead of cards. What surprised him was how familiar everything felt. Markets weren't casinos, but probability still ruled everything. Risk could be measured. Behavior could be studied. Outcomes could be estimated. The tools were different, but the principles were the same. The deeper he went into finance, the more he realized that uncertainty existed everywhere. Success wasn't about predicting the future perfectly. It was about understanding probabilities better than most people and making good decisions when certainty didn't exist.
Years later, Ethan became a quantitative analyst. His work began influencing larger and larger decisions. He mentored younger analysts and shared lessons that had taken him years to learn. But eventually he faced another choice. Rather than stay comfortable, he decided to build something of his own. He rented an empty office. At first, there was almost nothing there. Just a desk, a laptop, a few notebooks, and a belief that the same principles that changed his life could build a company. The first client wasn't important because of the money. It was important because of the trust. Someone believed in the process Ethan had spent years developing. Slowly, the company grew. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, through discipline, patience, and consistent decision-making. The same habits that had carried him from the casino floor to the finance industry continued guiding every step forward.
One evening, years later, he returned to the casino where it all began. The blackjack tables looked the same. The cards looked the same. The chips looked the same. Players still celebrated wins and chased losses. Yet everything felt different. Years earlier, he had stood behind those tables, wondering why some decisions worked and others failed. Now he understood that the casino had never been the destination. It had been the classroom. His company steadily grew. The blackjack dealer had become a financial leader. Looking back, he realized the lesson had never been about gambling. Most people gamble with money. He gambled with knowledge. While others chased lucky outcomes, he invested years into understanding probability, risk, and human behavior. That investment gave him odds no casino could ever match. Then, years later, an unexpected opportunity appeared. The casino where he once worked was struggling. Competition had increased, profits were falling, ownership wanted to sell. Most investors saw a failing business. He saw probabilities. He studied the numbers, the customer behavior, the operating costs, and the decision-making mistakes that had accumulated over the years. The more he investigated, the clearer the picture became. The problems were obvious. More importantly, they were solvable. For months, he analyzed every detail, the same way he once analyzed blackjack tables after his shifts. Eventually, he reached a conclusion. He made an offer. The former dealer wanted to buy the casino. Most people thought he was crazy. Why would a successful investor buy a struggling casino? But Ethan wasn't betting on luck. He was betting on understanding. The deal went through. The day he returned felt unreal. Years earlier, he had walked through the employee entrance carrying a dealer's uniform. Now he walked through the owner's entrance, carrying responsibility for the entire business. Without realizing it, the casino had given him an education. Not in gambling, in probability, in risk, in human behavior. Those lessons built a career. That career built a company. And that company bought the casino. But he wasn't interested in owning a trophy. He wanted to solve a problem. So he applied the same principles that had guided him his entire life. He studied the data. He listened to customers. He improved operations. He fixed inefficient systems. He made disciplined decisions. One improvement became 10. 10 became 100. Slowly, the casino changed. Within a few years, the business was profitable again. The gaming floors were active. The restaurants were busy. Employees had opportunities. Customers returned. The casino was thriving once more. Standing above the revitalized casino floor, he watched thousands of decisions unfold beneath him. Years earlier, he had been one small part of the operation. Now he was responsible for all of it. He realized something important. The cards never changed. The chips never changed. The tables never changed. He changed. The curiosity that made him ask questions, the discipline that kept him studying, the patience to learn what others ignored. Those were the things that transformed his life. Late one night, after the casino had closed and the noise had faded, Ethan stood alone beside the same blackjack table where he had once worked. The lights were dim. The cards were stacked. The chips were put away. The casino was silent. For a moment, he remembered the young dealer who believed there had to be something hidden beneath the surface. And he smiled, because that young dealer had been right. The lesson was never about gambling. It was never about getting lucky. It was about understanding uncertainty. It was about making better decisions when outcomes were unknown. It was about seeing patterns where others saw randomness. The casino taught him probability. Probability taught him decision-making. Decision-making changed his life. He never beat the house. He simply learned why the house won. And in the end, the blackjack dealer became the house.